Hey everybody, welcome to Parent Squad. I'm Felicia Lawrence, and today's hot topic we're talking about is sports. So as many fall seasons wrap up, a lot of kids will be jumping into club or travel play. But are those teams worth all the hype? So here to talk more is Amanda Hauser. She's a contributor to Indianapolis Moms, an educator, and a mom of 8. So you most definitely have some experience about this. So for anyone that doesn't know, we're talking about travel sports. This is outside of school. This is what children are doing as an extracurricular, but it ends up being a lot of extra. So you have how many children doing it?
4 are currently in travel sports. All 8 of our children have been youth travel athletes. We have had at this point, our 4 oldest children have been or currently are Division I athletes and went through the youth travel sports system. 4 more are currently in travel soccer.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we know this can be time consuming and expensive, but it can also be really good for your kids and really develop them. So let's talk about some of the wins from these teams. What are some of the good things that come out of doing travel sports? I know camaraderie is one of them.
Well, that's huge. You're building your village, right? A lot of this time that you are spending with a travel team, you end up spending extended weekends or vacations,
right?
Sport vacations, but with these families, they become your extended family because I have found, especially with so many children, you can't do it alone. It really does take a village, and so these families are an extension of you. So you are enriching your life with other people. You are learning other cultures, other regions of the world as you travel. So yes, you are growing in camaraderie. What I want to even extend on that though is just personal growth and what I like to call being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and what that can do for children as they grow and develop in travel sports. Now, sure, there are other environments that you can be uncomfortable in, but if we really think about the youth sports world, there's a lot of opportunity for intense competition, right? And feeling pressure to perform.
Yes, yes.
There's parents have spent a lot of time and money and energy, and I think our kids feel that, right? They feel a little bit of that.
A little bit more pressure.
A little bit more pressure.
Pressure to perform and pressure for this to go well.
To go well, exactly. But what I think travel sports does in terms of a pro for being comfortable, being uncomfortable, our children are learning that sometimes you do win and sometimes you learn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we can learn that even if something does not go well, I'm in an uncomfortable situation, the outcome, not ideal maybe. Yeah. Maybe the outcome was not at all what we expected. It felt like a failure. But if we are learning from that and we're growing forward from that, we are teaching ourselves resiliency. We are teaching ourselves perseverance. We are teaching ourselves that, oh, I just really flopped and I'm okay. And so the next time I literally step up to bat, or metaphorically step up to bat, I have this background knowledge that even if this doesn't end well for me in this moment, I am a strong, capable person who can handle adversity and come out on the other side okay.
Yes.
And how does that translate in the adult world? You know, with my older children, they will look back retrospectively and say, I am much more equipped as a young 20-something adult in my profession because of the adversity I faced in travel sports, because I now have that confidence and I'm okay if I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yes, and that's what it's all about as a parent. You're trying to give your child all of these experiences so that they do grow, so that they do have exposure. And obviously we know sports is just such a good way to do that. So we've touched on growth, also time management skills.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, you're forced because it's such a big time. I don't want to call it a time suck, but it's
Oh, it is.
it takes so much time that you're putting into this, in addition to school, in addition to, everything you have going on in your church life and your family and all this other thing. Here you are now traveling with a team.
Right. So it is a critical skill. Time management is a critical skill. I think so many of us as adults feel like we just don't have enough time. We're constantly rushing. And the conversations that we have with our children all the time are you have way more time than what you think you have. It's how you manage your time, right? It's what you do with the time that you have. So one of the great benefits of travel sports is children have to manage their time in order to get all of the things done. And they have to make choices with that time. So it's a great way, for example, if I doom scroll for 30 minutes on my phone or an hour on my phone, after practice, when then I look up and the clock says 9 o'clock and I haven't started my homework yet, and then, I'm staying up until late hours of the night doing that, we are able to teach our children how to prioritize what they want to do with their time and how efficient they need to be with their time.
Yes.
You really can, and I will probably get in trouble for saying this from some parents, you really can do it all in terms of, I've seen it happen. I've seen my collegiate athletes be students, great students, train several hours a day as an athlete and still be able to pour into themselves socially, spiritually, in other ways that they would like to grow, all because they were able to use their time wisely.
Yes, it's a good beginning lesson as a young adult, how you are prioritizing your time.
Absolutely.
Certainly. And then you already touched on it just a little bit, but money, you're saying this can be a good thing and a win and a loss when we're looking at the pros and cons of travel sports. What do you mean here?
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest hot topics right now about travel sports. I see it all over social media, is the price.
Yeah.
Literal and metaphorical, right? It is expensive we, for example, had to be in San Diego, got to.
There we go. We
got to be.
Perspective, everybody, perspective.
Absolutely. Practice what you preach, Amanda. So we got to be in San Diego for 9 days for a national soccer.
9 days?
So you take a family, at the time we had 6 traveling with us, and you're across the country and you don't know how long you're staying.
Oh my gosh, 9 days.
Living out of a hotel. And you just keep hearing like cha-ching, 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 like every time.
I mean, every meal, just a hotel stay alone or Airbnb or wherever you ended up staying.
So yes, that's on top of your tuition to your club. It's on top of uniforms. We've had some very expensive gymnastics leotards in our life. So yes, the price can be quite exorbitant and also very limiting and challenging for families. But
you're saying there's a positive.
100%.
Okay.
And I know our experience is unique. So 2 things. One, I firmly believe you cannot put a price on the values and the experiences you're giving your children. The things that they are growing out of youth sports, you cannot monetize. The skills that are going to take them into adulthood, no way you can put a price tag on that. But secondly, if you do actually want to put a price tag on youth sports, the opportunity for children to advance their academic careers through sports is huge.
It could be an investment.
It really is. And I think when you look at travel sports, you need to have that investment mentality that you are really investing in a future. For example, of our 4 oldest children who were youth travel athletes, all 4 of them went to college for free. So if you think about...
Which matters in a family of 8.
It really matters, right?
Yes.
It really did open some doors for them and their futures. And some people say, so you do have to weigh it for your family, right? It's a personal choice for your family. But you do have to weigh how much you've pre-spent to get the free education. So you really do have to look at what's
some
best.
can get really costly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. So I feel like it's more so the sports that are not team sports that are the most costly when you're talking about like tennis or I don't know, golf or gymnastics, where it's not like a whole big team. Okay, so let's talk about the cons. We talked about a lot of pros when it comes to having your child on travel sports. And there's some tough parts about it too. So parents living through their kids. You've seen that?
Yeah. It's
really, even in 2025.
I know. There are some things that we just never evolve out of, right?
Okay.
It's really hard. And I think the most difficult thing is to be on a sideline or bleachers or wherever you are, watching your child. You and I talked about this earlier, relinquishing some control. You don't have any control of what's happening out there on the pitch, on the field, on the court. And we have as parents to really do a gut check about what our attitude and our energy is doing to fuel the situation that's in front of us. Because it is so easy to look at a performance and take that as a reflection on you. Like, you're like, they've got my last name on that jersey. You know, like what are they thinking about me if my child blows this? Or my child has a bad attitude? Or what if? Likewise, parents being exorbitantly celebratory when their child does something wonderful. So travel sports can be dangerous for a child's mental health if we cannot help them separate their identity from their sport and their performance. Their value has nothing to do with what they are doing on the pitch.
That is so. I want to underscore that because I work with some adults now who feel that their value is tied towards their job, and I know my own personal experiences as well, and I have worked very hard to separate the two. My value is not tied to the performance that I give out in the world.
No, you are an ambassador for that sport. You are not that sport. You are not your stats. And we've had to have a lot of difficult conversations because for everybody, sports ends at some point. Some of us are luckier to have a longer career than others, but it will end. And who you are at the end of that is paramount.
Okay, we got a few more to get through. Puberty, you're saying, how does that tie into one of the cons of travel sports?
We had a personal experience with this. As you know, children hit puberty at all different ages and times in their development, right? So let's take 6th grade, for example, that seems to be a pivotal year. Some boys are still small boys in 6th grade. Some are men with beards, right? And so when you are in a travel environment, it's kind of sometimes a story of the haves and the have-nots.
I did not think about that. That makes a lot of sense.
Because you can look like this at 12 and you can look like this at 12.
At 12 or you can look like 20.
Right? Exactly. And so what is that communicating to our children? That puberty, which they have no control over whatsoever, when they are going to enter puberty, when their bodies are going to grow, when their muscles are getting bigger and stronger. So that's a real challenge. And what happens is that many children are overlooked purely because of their size at a certain age.
Oh, darn.
And so what you want to look for in a program is a coach who's going to coach your child as an individual, see their ability as an individual, coach their talent, not coach their body, not recruit them to be on a team because they're 6'4" in the 8th grade. Recruit them because they're a great individual, because they have an amazing work ethic, because they do have a passion and a talent for the sport, and you see something.
Really up to the parent to kind of help guide that and finesse it and hope that you're putting your child in the right place. The money grab, we've talked about how much this can cost. That's one of the cons to this.
It is, because sports is an industry, right? It is a business. And so you have to be on alert as a parent as to when you are being asked to pay for something, what is the value add there? What's my return on investment? Because you can pretty much pay to say that you've done anything in the sports world. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to know, do you think that that's a good conversation to have with your kids?
Oh, absolutely.
About how much this is costing, how much our family is investing and sacrificing for you to be able to do this. You think you should be transparent with your children on that?
I think that's a personal choice about how open your family is about their money. But what conversations that we have had with our children is this. Like, we have said, yes, this is a very expensive opportunity. Our family is making some sacrifices to make this happen. As parents, we feel it's our job to support your dreams and your endeavors, and we will do whatever we need to do to help you do that, as long as, A, you want it, not me, you want it for you.
Yes.
And B, you are also working toward that goal. So I need to see that you are contributing what you are able to contribute, which is your attitude, your effort, your focus, and your energy.
See, that is a wonderful positive statement that I feel like is not putting too much pressure on your child to perform. You're being real with them about the world, how it works, because I feel like you're not helping your child by hiding that either. And, because people don't want to put the pressure of money, or because they grew up a certain way and they don't want their child to feel that. But everything does have a cost, and you have to work for it to be able to afford some of these opportunities. And so I think for your child to just have some awareness of how money works and how it works within a family unit, I think that is so good. That's healthy.
Of course. What would be unhealthy would to say, do you know it cost me $1,000 to enter you in this tournament, and you better get up there.
I feel like that is what parents say, though.
Right?
What do you mean you don't want to wake up, or you don't want to do it, or you're tired? You better get out there and play your best.
Right. And I have heard it come out of my own mouth, and I am so sorry, children. But what we need to
it depends on the context, because when your kid is like underperforming, not doing right, and when they are.
Right. It's having that, being very aware of what we are asking our children to do versus what are they really willing to do for themselves, and then coaching them. I mean, when you are a young child, you do need coached.
Yeah,
right?
well, we need coaches as adults.
Right.
We all need coaches, absolutely. Okay, exhaustion. We talked about money, we talked about exhaustion. So that can be one of the cons. We've talked a little bit about the rigorous schedule.
The schedule is rigorous, and exhaustion comes in two forms. Physical exhaustion, obviously, right?
Yes.
The rigor and toll that sports have on little bodies.
Yes.
But the mental and emotional exhaustion that goes with that. Because when you are in an elite sports environment, you're never really off. Even on your off days, you're not off, because you're watching, or you're doing film, or you're recovering, or you're ice bathing, or you're getting therapy, or your physical therapy, or whatever it is. There's never really an off switch. So mental overload becomes super intense. And we're asking young people to do that. And
also maintain your grades in school, and we want you to go to church and be tied with the church community, and we want you to volunteer and do this. So.
Right. So what are we asking? And I have to ask myself, as an adult, would I do this? Would I put in what I'm asking my child to do? Do I have enough energy to do that? If I don't have the wherewithal to maintain the rigor of what I'm asking for, then that should be a huge red flag of what I'm asking my child to do with a happy attitude.
Yeah, right. And don't complain. Don't complain. Okay. And then bad coaches. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this in your experience too.
Right. I think one thing that is it can be a con. So I just encourage parents to look for this red flag. If a coach is ever asking you to sacrifice family or faith or school for your sport, something should start fluttering in your chest a little bit. That if something feels off, it probably is. So you are your child's biggest advocate. So if you feel that a coach is, I don't think a coach would use the word punishing, but if there are adverse consequences to skipping a practice for a youth retreat, then it's really important to maybe evaluate that program or that coach's priorities and make sure that they align with your family's priorities, and have some conversations about, if they don't align, what are we going to do about it? I think a lot of families feel stuck, like, well, we just can't do this because then they don't get to start next week, or and so you need to be careful. I also encourage, when you look at a program, encourage parents to check out, are the coaches parents? Because that's really hard.
Oh my God.
when it takes a very special type of coach to be able to coach their own child.
Oh, okay. If the coach is the parent and then they have children coming up through. I thought you meant they have, maybe their kids are older and
right, yeah. Well, I like that idea too, because I do think, just like as a teacher, I think teachers are better when they're parents because they have a relatable experience. I think coaches are better as a parent because they have relatable experiences. But there are a lot of travel teams that get started because so-and-so really wanted their kid to be a star of a team, so they're putting a team together and their own child is on that team. Okay. So this is a blanket statement and does not apply to everyone. A lot of us get involved in coaching because our children are in there and we want to be a part of it, and there's a lot of good things that happen. Okay. But beware, sometimes your best coaches have no biological connection to anyone on the team. They're just really awesome individuals who want to help.
Okay. Any final thoughts you want to share about any of this? I feel like we talked about a lot, which I just enjoy talking to you, Amanda.
Thank you.
We talked about a lot, but it is such a personal decision, and I think to really go with your gut, and again, this goes back to being an engaged parent and going with your gut and trusting that as a parent.
I will say that in retrospect, in closing, the children that we have had that have all gone through travel sports have had some really difficult journeys physically, emotionally, even spiritually, gutting it through. Okay. I asked them prior to writing this article that we're talking about, would you do it all again? And without hesitation, every single one of them said that they are better and stronger today because of their experience in youth sports.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for sharing this. Everybody, this is Amanda, mom of 8, an educator herself as well, and a contributor that you can read. You can read more of her articles at Indianapolis Moms. We actually have the link at WTHR.com/Parent Squad. This is a topic that she has discussed there, so you might want to get a little bit more. Amanda, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, certainly. Stay with us. More Parent Squad to come.